Leaders face many problems, and after speaking to hundreds of leaders, I found one problem above all others that keep them up at night. And it may not be what you think. I'm going to share with you today that one problem that keeps leaders up at night and what you can do to fix it. But first off, in case you haven't met me yet, let me introduce myself. My name is Melissa, and I'm an executive coach and a management consultant. I work with driven leaders. I help them boost their influence and build high-performing teams. So I talk with managers and executives day in and day out. I help them with all kinds of leadership problems, big and small. There's one of them that creates more pain than any other. And it's the conflict or the potential conflict of themselves and an employee. And more specifically, it's the hard conversation that keeps them up at night. So I often help my clients prepare for these conversations by giving them a communication framework, a tailored approach to their specific situations. Here's the thing, not everyone is the same. Not every situation is the same. And sometimes I even step in to facilitate the conversation. And that actually just happened last week. I had a client who was terrified of having the hard conversation with their employee. They had something specific that they needed to say about what they needed and needed less of, but they were avoiding the conversation. Honestly, she didn't want to be the bad guy. And that happens a lot. So I helped her by actually stepping in and being part of the conversation. And afterwards, she called me up and she was excited. She was so impressed. She said, you know what? I stopped and I listened to what you were saying. And you said everything that I wanted to say, but didn't know how. And my employee left the conversation actually motivated and excited. Who knew? So what I'm saying is that if you are being kept up at night by an actual or potential conflict with an employee, you're not alone. And these tensions, they come in many different forms. In the form of, low performance, disengagement, needing to correct a mistake, mistakes that are happening or behavior, helping resolve conflict between two employees, differences in values, differences in opinions, power struggles, even feeling betrayed by your employee when you hear them talking badly about you to others. So how do you fix this? How do you deal with these issues confidently and get back those really important restful nights of sleep? And the answer to that, my friend, is it starts with you and how you're thinking about the problem. In a world that's been teaching us external control psychology, we're programmed to think like this: me versus you, and how do I win? The power struggle and the tension starts in your mind. My meditation teacher years ago would call it shadow boxing. Basically, you're in your mind, I'm going to say this, and then they're going to say that. And we run through all of the different scenarios to find the one that leads us to victory. Then even if we are not aware, this mindset influences our micro actions and the words that we choose. And it contributes to the conflict, and it divides you and your employee even further. Here's my position, there is your position, now it's about who's right. That's the pattern. So instead, I propose looking at the problem as something that you share with your employee and tackle together as allies. So I want to do a little thought experiment with you right now to demonstrate this. So think about your employee. Think about the problem. Is that clear in your mind? So instead of the problem being between you and your employee, imagine a triangle. And at each peak, there is you, your employee, and the problem. So now you have a direct connection between yourself and your employee that is separate from the problem. And I want you to think about that connection. So ways that you've worked well together, wins that you've had together, what you appreciate about them. And that connection right there, that's your golden ticket. Do you feel the difference? What I want you to do is drop down below that internal shift you just experienced. I want to know what it was like for you. And that, my friend, is the first step. So if you want to know more, if you want to know the next steps to turn those hard conversations into easy transformational conversation, I'll be letting you in on my process in my upcoming free 3-day workshop entitled The Influential Leader. So here you'll learn how to turn your lowest performing employees into your rock stars on your team. And that's without having to handhold them or be the bad guy. So in this 3-part event, what you'll be learning is 1, quickly identify the early signs of employee disengagement so you can stop it in its tracks. You can minimize and even prevent damage to the team's performance by acting swiftly. And it's easy to do that when you know which approach to use. So 2, I'm going to show you how to assess the employee's potential so that you're pouring your energy and time into the right person that will actually be willing to change. Too many of us leaders hang on too long because we care. So knowing when to keep trying and when to stop can save you a lot of stress. And 3, I'm going to show you how to master the 3-step influence system that will turn your disengaged employees into a powerhouse for you and your team. And it's all happening online January 17th, 18th, and 19th. Each part is just an hour long so that you can join during your lunchtime and you can get back to work without skipping a beat. Since if you've been to one of my workshops, you know that they're highly interactive, and I want to make sure that I can tailor the information to your specific situation. So I'm limiting the number of seats, and they're actually filling up really fast. There's been a lot of excitement around this workshop. So if you want to come, save your seat now. I will drop the link down below. Leading people is complex, but it doesn't have to be hard. So I look forward to seeing you inside the workshop and helping you relieve some of the stress and get you back to sleep at night.